Today we will be going over the first video in Section 4, Creating Responsive User Interfaces, Structuring Your UI with Masonry. We'll use some basic CSS to structure our application. We will add the Masonry container and Masonry elements to our templates to give it that nice responsive look and feel. Alright, so the first thing that we'll want to be able to do is differentiate between one snippet and another snippet. So we're going to go ahead and give a little bit of structure to our snippet. Here in our CSS, we're going to go ahead and do the snippet class. We're going to declare a width of, let's say, 250 pixels, and we'll do the height right about the same for right now. Yeah, 250 pixels looks good. Okay, and then we're also going to put a bordered property. This will make it so that we can see the border and just for kind of testing purposes. So we'll give it a nice solid border side of here of 2 pixels, and we will make it just a nice kind of grayish color. We're now going to want to add that border to our existing HTML. So we're going to go into tmpl-snippets.html, and here inside of our div class snippet, we're going to add bordered property to each of those. Just like so. Right, so now they should have a border and they should take up all the properties of that CSS. Let's go ahead and refresh our page and see what that looks like. Scrolling up and down, we do see that we've got the right structure. We've got a nice square and gray pixels. So now we're going to separate out our templates just a little bit to make sure that we are ready for when we're going to be using Masonry. So we're going to create a new template. It's going to be called Snippet. And we're going to take this code that's inside of the each statement up here inside of our snippets template. We'll cut that out and we will paste it directly into that snippet. No other changes. We'll now create a template inclusion up at the top inside of our snippets template that just directly references that snippet. That should be all there is to it. It should look exactly the same in the UI and testing. It does indeed look exactly the same. Alright, so now we're ready to start adding the Masonry container and the Masonry elements. We're going to start here inside of our top container inside of snippets, and we're going to go ahead and do a hash Masonry container. Okay, that's the declaration to include the Masonry container. We're going to give it a proper ID, which will become important for anything that's going into that Masonry container, and we're going to name it very originally Masonry Container. Okay, we're going to set a column width, and this is just a kind of a division to let us know where to break to the next line. And then we're going to give a transition duration. This is just for animation effects. We'll give it just a 0.1 second transition effect. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that tag off after the each. So notice that the each snippets template inclusion is included inside of or wrapped inside of the Masonry container template inclusion. All right, so now here inside the snippets, we're going to do a template inclusion for the Masonry element. There's that hash Masonry element. And now we need to reference it by ID from what we put inside of our Masonry container, or which Masonry container we want to include. So there it is. We've got our Masonry container identified there as a parameter of that template inclusion. We'll go ahead and close that off with the Masonry element. And that's pretty much all we need to do to add Masonry to our templates. Okay, so this Masonry element that we see here is referencing Masonry Container, which is the ID of our Masonry Container in our snippets template. Looking in the UI, it looks like Masonry has taken care of the layout for us, and it's very responsive. Simple as that, we were able to add Masonry. So using some basic CSS, we were able to give our application some structure. The snippets now line up nicely and they have the right dimensions. We were also able to add the Masonry container and Masonry elements to our templates to give it that responsive look and feel. Our next video will be styling with Bootstrap, where we'll really give it that polish and that professional look. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.